Hey, good morning. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. I wonder whether or not you can take an opportunity just to introduce yourself and where you're from.
Sure. Thank you, Susan. My name is Jakob Magolan. I'm a associate professor at McMaster University, and I hold the university's Boris Family Chair of Drug Discovery, and I run a research lab that is, best described as a medicinal chemistry lab.
Excellent. Thank you. We didn't prepare for this particular question, but what inspired you to get into the work that you do?
I was an undergraduate student many years ago at Queen's, and I kind of fell in love with organic chemistry and organic synthesis, which is a pretty rare thing to say, I think, but in my case, it's very true. And I wanted to learn how to, become an expert in the science to make molecules, to synthesize new chemical matter, and that's what I've been doing for the last 20 years, and I really enjoy it. And the most practical application of that skill set is in the discovery and development of new medicines.
Excellent. Thank you. So you've received an award from us, and I wonder whether or not you can talk a little bit about that project and what you've kind of set out to do in that project.
Sure. Yes, at McMaster University, my lab has partnered with the lab of my colleague, Professor Sheila Singh. She is a neurosurgeon and a researcher, like a PhD MD, who's tremendously talented. And she studies brain cancers. And my lab, studies medicinal chemistry and drug development. And together, we are developing a really unique type of anti-brain cancer drug that has the potential to really change the paradigm for patients in general, and it's related to the process of metastasis. So I don't know if your audience is aware of this statistic, but 9 out of every 10 patients who have cancer in their brain originally had the cancer at a different site, and it's metastasized to the brain. 9 out of 10, and in many of those cases, the original cancer is treatable or even completely treated. But when the main sites are lung and breast and skin cancers. And when they metastasize to the brain, we don't have any good way of treating those at all. And unfortunately, most patients pass away within 1 year of that brain metastasis diagnosis. And so this project is focused on preventing metastasis. And the best way to explain that, I think, is, well, let me first introduce a really talented graduate student in Professor Singh's lab named Agata Kilishek, actually recently Dr. Agata Kilishek. This was kind of her brainchild, and she's very involved in this project, and I need to give all of the credit to her for initiating this, to her and Dr. Singh. But what they found is when a cancer cell leaves, a primary tumor site, like a lung cancer, and then goes into circulation and then ends up in the brain and seeding a new cancer site in the brain, in order for a cell to do that, it has to change quite a bit. It has to transform several times along that timeline of metastasis. And what Agata and Dr. Singh found was that we can much more effectively kill the cells that are circulating before they see the tumor than we can kill the cells that have already established the brain tumor. And they've identified weaknesses in these circulating cells. And they're really excited at the ability of treating at that stage, kind of between the primary cancer and the brain metastasis. And if these drugs are developed, they would prevent or intercept brain cancer, so we would never have to treat the cancer itself.
Wonderful. Thank you. It sounds really exciting. And I know that, without these types of projects, then we can't advance the future of treatment. And I know that your lab and labs like Dr. Singh's lab are working so hard. So we appreciate all the work that you're doing around that. So from the project that you've just explained, kind of where are you at with that, and where are you heading?
Sure. So the Brain Tumor Foundation of Canada is funding a graduate student in my lab. And that graduate student, her name is Caitlin Brio, and she is synthesizing new molecules as part of a team of about 5 chemists who are synthesizing the molecules, and then a number of different biologists who are testing them. So the process of developing drugs, at a really high level version of that would be to say you need a strategy or a biochemical target, a weakness in the disease or in the cancer. We have that. And then you need a lead molecule, kind of a starting point. And we also have that. And those are undisclosed, both the lead molecules and the specific target. So I can't discuss it, but in a general sense, we then design and we synthesize hundreds of molecules that we send through a gauntlet of tests. And the ones that survive all the tests and come out on the other side are our clinical drug candidates that can potentially make it into human clinical trials. And that process will take, something like 2 to 4 years. And we're in year 1, pretty deep into year 1 right now. We've made maybe 40 or 50 molecules. And Caitlin has made a number of these, more than a dozen. And the tests are underway, and we continue to improve the compound. So first they have to kill these cancer cells, then they have to, not harm ordinary non-cancerous cells. They also have to survive in circulation long enough. We call that pharmacokinetic properties of these molecules, that they have to be patentable. So they have to be fundamentally new chemical space. We have all of these characteristics that we have to optimize in parallel. And then, that's the process. And this project is, it's really exciting. It's very much on the pathway out of academia already. So rather than being an academic project where our objective is to publish research articles, this is a translational project where our objective is very much to do something very useful to society. And that's a privilege to be involved in that. We have we have a major sponsor, an organization called Admare Bioinnovations. They are funding most of this work, and they are also helping with in-kind research support. So they have some research capacity at sites in Vancouver and in Montreal that we do not have at McMaster. So working together, we're able to test these molecules in a number of different assays. What your organization has done is to just add another grad student to this synthesis side of the chemistry side of the project. And it makes a huge difference to have another student funded.
Excellent. Thank you. We've, as you might be aware or not, we've got our walk program that's starting to kick off and happens across Canada. I think we're in 21 or 22 different cities this year. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the funding that's made possible, people come out to the walks and they say, hey, we've raised all this money, and where does it go? And we liked for people to be able to see. And I think that, we do have some Hamilton representation that will be at our Hamilton walk. But we have different labs across Canada that will be kind of going to kind of represent, this is what we're doing. And it also allows the labs to also see who they're doing the work for. So you chatted a little bit about kind of the funding element and importance of, and I think it's important for both those who are doing our walks or those who are donors of these programs to see some of the incredible work that's being done at your labs. And to thank you for the time that you provide and the hope that you provide to all of the patients who are going through the journey of a brain tumor. So thank you for that. And again, I think it's important for both sides to see, we're raising the money, and this is how some of the money is being spent to help support. So I wonder, kind of in that train of thought, can you tell us what it's like to transition and set up your own lab and all the things that it kind of takes to be able to do that and for it to remain successful?
Well, actually, first, Susan, that sounded like an invitation to participate in one of these walks, and the short answer is yes, we would love to. And I'll go beyond that and say that we welcome people that want to come to McMaster and see the labs and see the research, right? So we have a great space that's amenable to tours. And if anybody would like, any of your donors, anybody else would like to, meet some of the students making the molecules, or come and just see the space and get a little tour of what this research is about, contact me, and I'd be happy to set that up anytime. And yeah, we participate for sure. So with respect to setting up my own lab, well, let me tell you a little bit about it. So McMaster's Faculty of Health Sciences was generously supported by the Boris Family Foundation, which is a philanthropic organization that sponsors lots of biomedical research across Canada and in Hamilton. And that source of philanthropy is what made possible something called the Boris Family Medicinal Chemistry Lab a few years ago. And that also gave McMaster an opportunity to recruit an organic chemist to kind of do drug discovery. And I was lucky enough to sort of be that chemist, to be selected for that position. And with the position came this beautiful chemistry laboratory that comfortably staffs a dozen chemists. And I'm very lucky to have the space and to be able to supervise these chemists. We do a lot of different projects. So we are, I like to say, agnostic with respect to therapeutic area. We reach out to biologists across McMaster, and we learn that some of them need small molecules made, or they're interested in early stage drug discovery. And then we partner with them. Sheila is one of about 4 that we have pretty intensive, well-advanced collaborations with, antibiotic discovery, cardiovascular health, and a number of cancer projects. But this one, out of all the projects that I've done at McMaster, this particular project that we call the brain metastasis project is the most advanced, and so far the most likely to actually result in a molecule advancing from the university into human patients, which is very rare.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, again, thank you so much for the work that you're doing. Thank you for the time that you've taken to talk us through your project. Is there anything else that you have to share with us about your project or your lab, or importance of supporting projects like yours?
Well, I realize that what we do is very basic in terms of the translational pathway. Rather than dealing with human patients, we're dealing with molecules, and that often is I would say underappreciated, the importance of that, and the fact that your organization and your donors are willing to fund basic science that is still years away from potentially impacting patients, but the work has to be done, and we simply don't have medicines for metastatic brain cancer, and there is no shortcut. You simply have to do the research and get new drugs. There's no reason why we can't develop drugs that are very effective. So I appreciate that the Brain Tumor Foundation is willing to fund kind of research more on the basic end along this pipeline. So thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. I think that's kind of a goal of the research committee. And we kind of, we look at that each time we're coming into a strategic period to figure out, are we doing the right things? Are we on the right path? Are we spending the money where we need to? We've just recently held a think tank in Ottawa, in kind of partnership with the Canadian Neuro-Oncology meeting, and brought together some of those who are board members or staff, some of the individuals who have received awards from us, and those who are, kind of engaged in multiple sides of research, from basic translational or quality of life type projects. And basically, one thing that we hear over and over again is thanks to individuals for having the opportunity to do kind of some of these concepts of, you know, will it work or will it not work? And I think it's important because a lot of the other funding opportunities that there are for researchers are, you know, we'll take you over the finish line, and here's a really, you know, a big, you know, dollar amount to, you know, kind of be that shining light at the end. And we're kind of the, you know, the kind of the start out of the gates and see whether or not it's viable, and move your project forward through to be able to get one of those larger scale grants down the road. So we're happy to do that. We've heard over and over again over the years that that's how people's labs got established and how people got, you know, kind of engaged and continued on the path that they were going. So yeah, we're happy to support it. So thank you for applying. So.
Well, thank you very much, Susan. And, you know, my biased opinion, of course, is that please keep doing that. Please keep funding basic research because it leads to medicines.
Excellent. Well, we have full intentions to do so. So thank you so much. Thank you again for taking the time to talk us through your projects and get us to know a little bit about you and your lab. And we look forward to hearing, you know, great discoveries down the road.
Thank you.
So, thank you very much and have a great day.
You too.